You're listening to the Oneofus.net podcast network. Actually, I'm unclear, Beau, on why they called it The Little Hours. Maybe because you have more of a background than I do in the series of stories that it's very loosely based on the Decameron. You might have a better idea.
Well, the Decameron's huge. I mean, it's over 100 stories, and this is just based on one
that was called The Little Hours.
You know,
you're not entirely.
It might have something to do with the way that the Catholic Church has its out, like they have lauds and matins and nuns, vespers, on and on and on, and it may have to do with something like that, or what the original. I think it says it's based on the first tale of the third day. So this is really a very small segment of the Decameron, but it is definitely from there.
I would watch with this same crew take on any of the tales from the Decameron, even though this is not, like, in the loosest possible sense, an adaptation of any part of the Decameron.
A lot of them are very, very bizarre, and body, and it was.
Oh yeah, body is the key phrase here in this, which almost feels like something that would have come out in like the early 80s in that sort of like post Holy Grail but with sex comedy.
No, there's a lot of fucking and people trying to fuck and getting caught or almost getting caught, what have you.
Yeah, the story we have here is Allison Brie is a newer nun at a nunnery. She's kind of like wants to leave because her dad put her there.
She's not a novice, but she's like the youngest child, one of the younger children, and her parents have gotten a bunch of her sisters married off, but they've kind of been crippled under the amount of money that they're putting into they're having to give to the church, and the money that they paid for their daughter's dowries, and they're kind of like. She thinks she's just in there to kill time until they can pay her dowry for somebody, and they're like, yeah, have you thought about, how nice it is here? Maybe you'd like to stay. Maybe you have a calling. And she kind of figures out, within the one conversation we see here between her and her father, played by Paul Reiser. Welcome back to Celluloid, Paul.
It's been a while.
It's been a while. She's been kind of tucked away here and is probably not getting out.
And she's probably even like less unsatisfied so far with her short time than some of her other fellow nuns. Kate Micucci plays one of them, who is kind of the nerdy nun who tattles on other nuns.
Yeah, she's not going too far out of her wheelhouse here. She's kind of playing this little her kind of weird misfit shtick, but she's got a little addition of queerness in this one, which she kind of inadvertently finds out that I'm actually kind of attracted to women.
Yeah, she's a nerd and she's a tattletale, but she also is really attracted to the other nuns without wanting to admit it, and has secrets of her own.
Yeah,
and wants desperately to be liked. And then there's Aubrey Plaza, who is playing the most Aubrey Plaza-ish character maybe she's ever played. She's essentially playing her character from Parks and Rec if she had lived in the 13th century and she was a nun.
Yeah, if she had been a medieval nun.
She's a troublemaker and has no respect for what's happening here at all. And it definitely is the person that most in this whole thing can make you laugh just by a look.
Yeah.
They're all looked after by John C Reilly. He plays Father Tommaso, who himself is kind of an alcoholic, is drinking the wine when he's not supposed to be. And then Molly Shannon, who's the house mother, who unfortunately isn't given a hell of a lot to do.
No, she isn't. Unfortunately, she kind of just shows up to kind of be shameful or towards the nuns, or at least tell them to, get your shit together.
Meanwhile, in a nearby fiefdom, Nick Offerman is a lord whose wife is fooling around with one of the servants played by Dave Franco. And when it's discovered, Franco decides to go on the run, and he is taken in after helping a drunken John C. Reilly with a error he made.
Yeah, out of a jam.
And said, okay, we'll bring you in to the nunnery and you can say and you can work, but here's the deal. You got to pretend you're a deaf mute, because the last guy, the nuns literally like physically assaulted, and we didn't like him talking to him. But
and when we say physically assault, we don't mean sexually. They literally beat the shit
every
out
time
of him.
He shows up. They're like, "What the fuck are you looking at, shithead?" But the difference is he was an old guy, and Dave Franco is a young, cute guy, and of course, just his mere presence caused
and the real life fiance to Allison Brie. So.
I did not realize.
Oh well,
that.
there we go. A little something. Yeah, this was obviously.
Well, it's nice to him because he got to fool around with pretty much every female on the cast.
Yeah, I mean, he's kind of the only game in town, and he does look like Dave Franco. So the three main nuns in question are all kind of feeling at least a little bit of attraction, and Kate Micucci probably a little bit of jealousy because she's kind of got a crush on Plaza's character. So,
yes, yeah. and Plaza is kind of jealous because it seems like
I'm not even going to go into the spoilers with Aubrey Plaza's motivations in this, because it's such a great bit that you really should see it.
Really great appearances in the third act by Fred Armisen, who comes in as the bishop, who just has some of the funniest lines in this whole thing. Basically walks into utter chaos, like, what the fuck is happening here? And Jemima Kirk from Girls, who also has a nice little role in here as one of Aubrey Plaza's outside friends.
Right.
Yeah, this is almost better than it has any right to be, I thought.
Sure, yeah. I mean, the setup that you get from the trailers is definitely like, it's a wacky comedy about nuns, and it's a lot deeper than that. It does actually kind of, when it says based on the Decameron, you tend to think about, the Decameron is this kind of respected thing in the canon, and it's very, very serious. We talk about it in school, and it's like, well, no, it is actually respectful of that material, but that material is like the Canterbury Tales is pretty bawdy, but Decameron makes the Canterbury Tales look like a church primer.
Yeah, there's a lot of like nuns fucking and nuns fucking other nuns and nuns fucking other people, and lots of nudity, and like no one is left behind. Although there are
Kate Micucci, which surprisingly, because she's kind of from Garfunkel Oates and her appearances on Scrubs, she's kind of had a nice girl, type of thing going on. But her last couple of things she's done, like both Easy and this, she's just like, close. Get rid of those.
I feel like a lot of the humor works here to some degree of just that kind of shock of seeing nuns like cussing and doing drugs and everything. But they never get it to a point where, I mean, they're obviously out of time in the way that they talk.
Right, yeah.
Any concessions for that.
There's definitely a concession to that. And I mean, they would be speaking, whatever the Italianate vulgar would have been in the late 1200s, so you wouldn't have been able to understand it anyway. So everybody speaks in a contemporary voice. I mean, Fred Armisen sounds exactly like Fred Armisen and says things in a very Fred Armisen way. I think of all the people, Reilly kind of, he's not doing his normal comedic shtick of being a dumbass in this. He's very much like, you can see that, this is a priest, and he takes his job seriously, despite the fact that he's a major drunk.
Yeah, he definitely, like everybody else, he's like on the fringes of like full on doing stuff that he shouldn't be doing.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Everybody is in this convent situation, which, the Middle Ages were kind of a crap period to live. That's one of the better places you can end up. But nobody's happy. Everybody is waiting for something better, or, was hoping for something better, and it didn't materialize, or doesn't know what the fuck they want at all. Like Kate Micucci's character is very much the at loose ends during this whole first and second act of this.
And despite the modern vocabulary here, the way everyone relates to each other, through. There's nothing meta about it.
Not at all.
No one is aware that I wish I had a phone.
I was
or something,
really surprised, like the down to the font that they used for the credits. This actually reminded me of some late '60s, like Italian realism movies. There were just little bits. It's actually very pretty in many ways.
It is, but I also don't want to emphasize like that level of it too much.
No. It's not an art house.
This is not an art house film.
It's not an art house movie, but there are definitely like a few winks and nods to how, say if Fellini decided to do his version of the Boccaccio, you might see him frame some shots.
Yeah, possibly. I mean, it's very well shot, definitely. It's a beautiful area that they shot this thing in.
Yeah.
But everyone is playing it for broad comedy, ultimately.
Yes.
And it works here. I really feel like it does. I laughed out loud quite a few times in this. I mean, this isn't a gut buster.
No. You're not going to roll around on the floors, but the situations... even when you're not laughing, the situations are interesting enough that you're engrossed.
Yeah, I mean, the story is actually kind of interesting, as loose as it is. It sets up a scenario and it follows through to its bizarre conclusions in many ways. And yeah, there are characters that they play off that, Jesus, can you believe how stupid this guy is?
Sure.
But thankfully they don't overuse that.
Yeah. And they're mostly, for the most part, those people are peasants. So, they would be dumb as dirt.
Yeah, I've thoroughly enjoyed this offering. It is indeed by Jeff Baena, who has an interesting career as a writer and director, who's worked with David O. Russell co-writing I Heart Huckabees, which is actually one of those movies I really, really enjoy and I know is not everybody's cup of tea. He wrote the zombie comedy Life After Beth, which also starred Aubrey Plaza once again.
And he is Aubrey Plaza's significant other as well as that. So, there's
Joshy, which came out earlier this year, which I really recommend as well. It was really a fun movie.
Yeah. This was obviously like, they're if you follow any of these people on Twitter, these are people that hang out with each other in real life and have real friendships going. And it's obvious that this was very much a labor of love. And they took it very seriously and they turned out a really interesting product. Like I said, it's not the most hilarious thing in the world, and it's not an art house movie by any stretch of the imagination either, but it occupies some very interesting middle ground.
Yeah, I would agree with you there. It's a lot better and funnier than pretty much any of the comedies I've seen from Hollywood this year.
Yeah.
So I think that alone should be enough for people to want to go out and see it. I think this also is going to be a lot of fun to see with a crowd. This is the kind of movie where I can see infectious building humor with a crowd is really going to hit home.
Definitely. There are some, those crowds that kind of fall over themselves over the I can't believe they did that type of humor. They're going to really enjoy those.
It thoroughly crescendos to the outrageous, no question. The third act, it gets to up to some serious insanity that is by far some of the funniest imagery I've seen in a while. And a lot of that was Kate Micucci, who just is nailing it here.
Yeah. No, she has a lot of good scenes, and one in particular is just, incredible.
So let's go to final thoughts. Beau, what do you think?
This was one of those little movies that I was rooting for, and I'm glad it's come through, and people are enjoying it. I think there was some hard work put in here, and I think it paid off. Like I said, it's not easily categorizable, but it is very enjoyable for what it is. This is definitely something that I would be interested in seeing this team do something else.
Absolutely.
Good. And boy, really good. Like, Aubrey Plaza has had some misfires when it comes to the stuff that she's done. She's done some wonderful work too, but she's also, especially when it comes to comedy, has not necessarily been miscast, but her kind of persona has been over-relied on. And I think this is a different ball of wax for her, and it works. So good on her, and good on the three leads are just absolutely incredible, and they're both three comedians that are just really putting in great work lately. So it's nice to see all of them contained in one nice little package. I give this 8 out of 10 wayward donkeys.
Yeah, I think you nailed it with saying this crew. I would watch something else with this crew because there's just such great chemistry between everyone here. I'd be curious to know how specific of a script there was and how much room there was for everybody to sort of pitch in.
This is something together. I'm not normally a behind-the-scenes guy, but I would definitely watch like a DVD extra on this because it's obviously that everybody's having a lot of fun.
That's my main complaint is that we're watching a theatrical version instead of watching the Blu-ray, which I'm hopefully will come with some super fun extras because I just want to watch these people laughing around, joking around with each other. They're just so much fun. In fact, I would totally, like I said, whether it's another story in the Decameron with this whole exact same cast, or even a continuation of this story, I would watch it with great happiness. I give this 8 out of 10 well-lit turtles. And boy, that turtle was well-lit. And it
that was incredible, man.
The turtles, that's good. You're never going to believe what we just saw. This turtle. Oh, my God. I'm not telling you. You got to watch the movie.
Oneofus.net has been your one-stop shop for all things geek for years. But there's a side to them many of you have never heard. The subscription side. Subscribe and listen to great podcasts like The Breakfast Pub, The Original Gentleman, and the Watch a Movie With Us series. Head on over to Oneofus.net and don't forget your towel.